Asasa kakra, forgive us. Say a buffer, so we thank you for your patience. Bibi aboko there.
Nyamiadom.
Good.
Nyamiadom.
Na mebu no ti say NDC mu.
Nyamiadom bibi aboko.
Mo na mu.
Yanena mu.
Bugu su preachy.
We are selling hope.
Hope.
Yeah, 20 that's so. Now the Omanya ye, Omanya. So 120 that's so more. People are giving up. We share the number of young people leaving the country. People have given up, say, Omanya say, the debate on PhD in a Dutch passport, and I've seen TikToks videos. A lot of young people saying, say, they'll opt for the Dutch passport than even a PhD. That clearly tells you that we are more or less like a failed state.
But I mean, yes, sure, say you support that because
I will not support
because of you catch you say it is a matter of what you do with what you have, not just a holder of a Dutch passport.
If I subscribe to the theory say PhD,
yeah,
but we share statistical service report on the 2J. I'm saying in the last 6 months, 8.4 million Ghanaians have gone a day without food. Ghana, they share 8.4 million in the last 6 months. A double quenchema, a Drianian Comano. I'm saying, Semiti Cromohanomo, Nami Nedrianindi, Nami Nedrumaye, Nasemeko Obi Mine, so Nasab you said, Marco Pepafem, Nami Nedriania, I'm better off. The danger also is that the number of young people are unemployed it's become a danger and a threat. National Security Reporter Yerura Kandapa at the Tudra right after the 2020 elections. One of the things the unemployment situation in Ukruhanamo. The devil finds work for the ideal hands. If I am hungry, I'm going to go 2 days, 3 days without food. Na komo dem no bi sham no so o ma me 100 cedis min ko din sem boni bi na min ko dey to trust sem bia. Many people will take the offer and go and do what they don't have to do. Unim the entia cause komo de no and say obey stavia kwako wudie he will commit a crime, commit an offense and hope say yenche no they say cannot to aduane. And that is where we are. That is why you will find people on my university on TikTok saying say yes, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Onye juma ye. Na zo be ko obi man so no akwaje passport, not their paper for man. He's better off. Eme just say yababedu the sad reality as a country. And I keep asking me on say yakoya na say by social contract na ene Akufo-Addo ne Mahmoud Bawumia sign e no. So social contract no omo this one na. Because today the Ghanaian is worse off than he was in 2016. But our lifestyle and our life index deteriorated so much in the last 8 years. It is a MPP for na minia ketwa Denis Aboaje. Ebetina TV so na radio so. Na enema e matter. I know your friend bread and butter issues. On ken ho asem. Economy na asay no na niema sebio sebe ensem fata e no ka ho asema me di yaw kakra me di yaw in the sense omo fa Ghana se sebio sebe Ghana de hye sebio sebe ya adwemu ye hare nti no yentumi ndwen ehu ne ekoso and that omo ntro ne omo kontompo no mu twa no e na eno mo mababe no kre adama hene we are in dying straits and baby ayetise no se nyame ambemo a enya sempa wo man mu. I keep saying that the conditions are at the end court 79 mu. The conditions are not previously at the end court 81 mu no. Sabi yemu bi ne enwo ye hu. But abakosem ne de abeka won krata mu no. Those conditions were better than what we are enduring today. If in those days sabi incrophobia fight to me the showman sem eye de anense fata. We are not far from it. And I've always told myself that the only consolation I walk. And they say, Mete hey, me who 7th December. What I say, Mete hey, me tremenia, me who's the 7th December, baby. In the same you sabi, but the same because me tima, me when the so say on the 7th of December, Ghana for back Otwaba. no matter sani many. But if this trajectory continues,
but that has been opposition talk most of the time, because most of the time, most of these political parties are more opposition, inclusive this current administration. The pictures that are painted for us to see and feel, and a worrying and a scary.
But I am not with the statistical service. OPARE ADDO yet drama statistical service. Mean generating reporting can say 8.4 million have gone a day without food. 83 na come honum. I mean, is 8.4 million Ghanaians went a day without
food.
But
lawyer, Wadarama, look at population as of that.
And I make sure say. No, but you can still do the calculations.
Of course.
With the population in 83.
Yeah. And look at percentages.
And so you can still do the percentages. Yeah. And I'm saying, I am not sure, say, a day without food, 8.4 million. About that time, the total population was about 10 million. Many years was even at that time, because they see 1/3 of the total population. And I quite a day without food in the last 6 months.
We'll do those checks, but whichever way it is worrying.
It is worrying. And it is worrying in the sense that in 83, now you need terrorists roaming all over us. Now exposure because of the nebini. So I say, baby, and do no 83 and and so when people are overly exposed and they find themselves in situations like this, as a country we should be worried. There is no justification for the failure of the Kufuor Mahmoud Bawumia administration. There is no justification, because this is the most luckiest government in the history of this country.
Luckiest?
Of course, yes. There is something called political goodwill. Where we need power. Nagana Fuenya time so. Oh, but that is not even true, because the data and the statistics that are available suggest otherwise. In 2016, because the President Mama not a prophet, at his last State of the Nation address, or address of my our economy was going to grow by 8%. The World Bank had predicted same for 2017. President Mama, the State of the Nation address, predicted the economy will grow by 8% in 2017 because of prudent measures. Any homegrown policies they are trying to implement. In 2017, the economy grew by 8%, and that is the best under the Kufuor Mahmoud Bawumia administration. And that was not their policies, because our economic policy doesn't develop after a year.
Clearly, it cannot be, because a free 2016
exactly and a buy. But that was the best performing year for this government. In 2018, it declined. 2019, it declined. Pre-COVID, the economy now starting to have problems. Immediately we exited IMF program in 2019 and economy in and that is when they started their frivolous expenditures now no more. And look at where we are. COVID alone, because this government is the most luckiest government. You got 2 additional oil streams. You the Sankofa and the 10 fields. So many are 3. No problem and they confronted Ghana was doom so. Na President Mama solve doom so. And na a car net da honoma na AD with the energy sector establishing ESLA, energy sector recovery levy so there was money available to pay debt na honoma, and every man biano ESLA generate sika omnibetia and ani fix it doom so, and ani ejo 3 additional oil wells for additional revenue. Omoba na cocoa, we are producing close to 1 million tons a year. And then we are doing less than 500,000. So we have left them a solid foundation. Not sinking fund, they just got to move. Stabilization fund, they just got to move. Between the sinking fund and stabilization fund, they had over $600 million. Now infrastructure fund, you know what they bomb Hobosea or DBC hotels in there, man. They have close to $1 billion in the infrastructure fund. Yeah, but I'm a 20 President Mills, I'm a but we left all this money. COVID by ya na your watching first 300 million no munya fee. Stabilization fund. First 300 million COVID by. COVID gave us $3 billion. COVID.
And what was our expenditure? But sometimes, Pablo, I'm surprised.
Is
different from our talk.
What was our expenditure?
Yeah, because you sit.
That is the interesting question you have asked.
What was our expenditure?
What was our expenditure?
But normally,
because the auditor's report clearly tells us the expenditure was
questionable.
Questionable. The expenditure
was questionable.
Exactly. A lot of the money cannot be accounted for. We have heard leading members of the NPP in their run-up to their presidential elections telling us why we first want to explain the
those
the Auditor General report is
fine, that's why we can hold them to that. But
and so COVID ended up making people in the NPP rich. COVID fund, no.
Maybe some
ended up making other
too.
people rich. But in all this, 3 years, 4 years after COVID, that was which COVID recovery levy. 3 years, 4 years after COVID. Yeah, that's which COVID recovery levy. So with all the expenditure they incurred, with the 3 billion that the IMF gave us, any recovery levy no more general, how are they accounting for that money?
Which is very true, striking, is that the Ghanaian is not interested in these matters that is out there. What the Ghanaian is interested in that so an alternative government sits before me.
Yeah.
What are the alternatives as an NDC rep
that is what
for the youth, especially because now the dominant?
That is what I'm coming to. You see, but before even then, me can say, and yeah, meburu nkwanso no mo ho che omo aban.
Meburu ye key.
It's all
say.
But critical.
Yeah, very key and critical.
But me know because even pensioners are suffering. Pensioners sicker. Why year juma na wenya kakra na oba betnesi. Now sicker kakra dia to dia ba ban bosia. Oba se beje haircut. Abaizes can wa phone to me ntua amanebre. People who are dependent on end of month kakra ne beto accounts no dey leave when you na buy afa. That is the situation we find ourselves in. Now, what is the NDC proposing? Very simple solutions. Amayine say me ba betina nam ka say me ba. Me see stadiums 10. Me build the schools 100. Me year never be kra no mo ka. Many promises you are making.
One village, one dam, one district, one factory.
And they are
it's not true. You might not like the pace. You might not like the rate at which Jacoba. Pablo,
Minister of State, she was responsible for the special initiative.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying, you might not.
So if I come and sit here and I make all these promises, and I don't speak to the fundamental issue of the economy I'm your true for. Because the sika is a quite
sika
today, Oko IMF almost on my in almost program on my incodiso. So you have no additional funding coming from anywhere. Donor partners in energize comedy now. Because someone said most of the monies that were given to you was abused. Oko international market Oko Bora. They say you borrow and say a sovereign country be more. You borrow on commercial rates. I say me no businessmen are you international market. That is how they are treating Ghana. Because you see negative for saying. To the extent that even audit firms are all Ghana and Pono, you downgrade your the KPMGs, the price. We now as of a downgrade from the international community. Because I'm not all the Tanzania. So all this time, all this rot was going on, and what audit reports were you sending out? It's affected everybody. What the NDC is proposing is a turnaround of the economy. They are proposing is for us to be able to solve all these problems. One, I'll say a turning around the economy. And that is why we are proposing the 24-hour economy policy in our year. And then I've heard people say, now 24-hour economy, no, I'll tell you in a very simple term.
It's not even about that. Before we get to what goes into the 24-hour economy, you better explain the 24-hour economy because it is becoming a lead for Mokampi, which is very good.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Yes.
Now the question is that 24 hours in the airport and I'm open. The airport
where the economy is today, it cannot be business as usual. It cannot be business as usual. So we need a paradigm shift from the old way of doing things.
The status quo.
24-hour economy one a demand driven. You can say 24-hour economy and yes sector be and be affected. But there are some key sectors that was affected. So the first thing we'll do is to do the parliament. They pass a legal framework. So for instance, normal hospitals, majority of government hospitals, some here 24 hours per the law currently. But let's be very honest. Ura hospital and OPARE, OPDs are Emma. Because in the morning the pharmacy is working. X-ray department a year Juma, MRI department a year Juma, lab a year Juma, and now doctors are available. Theater a year Juma. About 5 now pharmacy upon. MRI technicians upon. Lab technicians upon. I'm only using a hospital as a setting. What it means for a 24-hour economy is that when the legal framework is passed, so during the normal 8-hour shift, many cases a 3-hour shift, where the first, but in technical terms, in Pono, a 4-hour shift. The reason is that you have a 3-hour shift within the 24 hours. But with the labor laws, you cannot work for a certain number of hours in a week. It's 2 days automatic off. So 2 days now automatic off for me no. Me call for so be fearless our space no. Also call for so be fearless our space no. Third party needs to call for so be fearless our space no. So technically 4 hours, but it's an extension of a 3-shift economy, but expanding to a 4-shift economy because somebody takes 2 days now. Means me because we have 5 days a week, 40 hours. How many hours a week? But 8 hours, 8 times 5 years. 8 5 years, 40. So 40 hours a week. That is how many hours you are supposed to work per the labor laws. So what you are saying? It is a year 8, no be so 8, no be so 8. There are 2 days intervals. I mean to me here, Juma. They are 5 days. Also be 5 days. So be 5 days. So you have 2 days. Be a 3 shift. No be to me here, Juma. Somebody must fill that gap. So technically, be a 4-shift system. What we say is a 3-shift system. And say, oh, Kwanopa, say, me hospital Kwanopa, na nipa 20, and they form as nurses. Nipa 10, and they form as lab technicians, including MRI technicians, and a nipa 5, and they form as pharmacists, and they be a nipa 6, and they doctors. What it means is that the first shift in about nipa 7, normal point we are 2 now. The next shift that comes will have the same number. Ebia, because Ebia and Opa nipa baby brain, Ebia area nipa does, but it drain sometimes the numbers will reduce. Ebia nipa will be reducing kakra. So if they are taking 20 nurses and we are doing a 3-shift system, 1 shift near for nipa 20 in a 3-shift system, if
in an economy that you have
I started by telling
demand driven financial
impact. When I go to the hospital, it's not free. The hospital renders a service. Either my health insurance is paying or cash and carry. So once service is being rendered, money is being generated. Nobody goes to the hospital for free. It's not says it can and there's that money that will be used in paying people. It's simple. Me run hospital and no pay me call lab and me chia. Me who doctor consulting fee me chia. Because Jindra, I pay for medication. It's not free. I may not pay cash because there be an more insurance. But at the end of the month, the insurance reconciles with agency corner hospital, and then they pay. So it is not free. What's here? So money will be generated from there.
But these hospitals that you are talking about, I'm sure if it's about 37 Kolebu or Ridge or these major hospitals, some of which were built by our former president,
John Mahama.
Yeah. Clearly, some of them they are operating 24/7. Or what is it that you're going to do?
And I make us say some of these hospitals, but not all the hospitals. Omayine say what do ABR mikromu okugo enyumre. Na wakwa do krom quarters hospital enyumre there is no doctor. But when there is a policy, deliberate policy say you are working 24/7, a doctor will be employed for a 9 shift.
When there is demand for a doctor to be there.
As for hospitals, there is always demand though. The only reason why I ain't calling they say nurse in your normal. But in the evenings, people still go to the hospital. A guy is a trained doctor, When you live in a community where there is a hospital, now you end up in the hospital. Sometimes you have to drive 3-4 hours. As I are by Mboko. Time so it is demand driven. Say a fat nipa 20 anopa. Near fat 20 area, near fat 20 anymore. That is 60 people. Sadi pa 20 no. Me kwa juma no pa me didi. Me boa. Me kwa area me didi. Me kwa juma so me didi. So the trickle down effect of the he say me kwa juma me didi no. Whoever is selling food in the morning. So the
24-hour economy, among some of the issues, is it targets specifically demand areas.
It's demand driven. It's demand driven. That is for the public sector. For the private sector, and before anybody can implement an effective 24-hour economy, you need electricity. Constant electricity. So, Osha manifesto noir, as they be created a friend of street lighting authorities.
I said, you say,
Meba, Ofa light bill, what is those street lights?
Meaning, some of the Energy Commission for.
There be a EKOSIISEN for.
There be in checking here.
A EKOSIISEN, no matter. So, ECG Nigeria, no matter, I'm Energy Commission.
Exactly.
Energy Commission says, can be a day.
That's it purposely for what is being done. It's been deducted for.
And it's street lights. We are creating street lights in authority. So that's could the Energy Commission.
They go straight to her.
ECG 4G. Send your common fund. They get funded here.
Straight.
And we are going to decentralize the authorities. Say a crapim north. Me so many days. You include a crapim north. Say communities say we crapim north. Any light bill I generated, street lighting levy network light bill on this. Says can you Nigeria they make crapim north for.
It's a more yen say crapim north for.
Yeah, see come general farmer.
Yeah, problem.
Yeah, problem. Yeah, not fair. You make it just our lights.
You are making it an authority.
Because that is how you can properly account for. Now I hear what GBA and you who can hear. I mean, I'm not can no I mean who to hold responsible. What I say because there is somebody in charge in the district. Abosumi be a Jessica the man so make sure that the lights are out. Girl, you got two nyomo and then I say yeah, also could break your record. Singaton.
A something.
A call airports honomono. Airport gardens that you know. Ninth market about because there was lights. You know why people still do 24 hours and because shops now only in our lights streets. And so we are going to look at street lighting as one of, so we are going to create what we call the light cities. Udo night market and I didn't know we could do anymore because it's properly lit. So once we create the light cities, a bed driving demand. Udo do chroma baby, I like to be a microphone. Me was here. 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because lights no.
Yeah.
And people patronize.
So the lighting system or state or cities will bring the 24-hour economy more.
It will drive a bed driving. What you say? It will drive it. Then security. If we increase security presence, filling stations will be very human. For organizers, sometimes we too quiet maybe pen because the roads are free.
Organize
the you know why? Because Osho. But when there is 24-hour patrol, I mean, say police for them, so I'm a
hey, Pablo.
But at the point in time, I have seen, I am part and I have seen the policy. And if it is not rocket science, these are things that can be done easily. At the point in time, the police were patrolling 24 hours. And then what we see the police is only barriers. They don't patrol.
And the barriers come to
Mujai. But if we have, and you see, you're under police as a country, because we are not able to pay. But if companies are working, and then a lot of people are under the tax net, will generate more revenue. And there is a program we are bringing out, major answer. Bringing almost every informal sector be under the tax net. Because you see, when people are working and they are earning their money, genuinely, tax and so once we do the light cities, increase security, and I'm going to say, because it's demand driven, it will run. Also factories. Yagaze yebemo mo rebate on electricity. But then before business say, hey, how would you calculate? Omahine say obe juma no pa. So you know there was smart meters. So today with technology everything is possible.
Yeah.
O signing out say oh yeah 24 hours now. You better say meter now. Near amount smart meter. During the day, you pay the normal tariff.
Any political intervention as a technocrats in our casa
as part of our manifesto committee, we have technical.
Because you don't compound our challenges.
You are not compounding any challenges. You are not compounding any challenges. Oma incentives.
Yeah.
So that people produce more. Were free zones and enclaves of Chromanum. What's the rationale behind it? Because we want people to come and produce and export. So a lot of the factories in Ghana, a lot of them are not meeting demand. So our currency suffers. When President Mahama was president, pharmaceutical companies, you know how much drugs we import into this country? Over 2 billion. Over them stabilize our currency. President Mahama's vision was that you producing in Droni be locally. It is a Mausika say produce a drone locally. Because the only reason
interventions why President Mahama is fantastic.
Yes.
Have we checked again the impact in your system?
We number one twice.
But once you want to implement something,
and it was a good intervention because rice production and President Mahama increased.
Yeah.
Emma, you know what President Mahama did? Only importers, it's nasty. And I'll say I will support you build rice mills here. Import 60% of the Audeban and produce 40% locally. And then you keep ramping up to say full capacity. And so if a company is going to do 24 hours and he can ramp up, that means that during the day, normal tariffs and your meter automatically will read half how much you are paying now. It happens. Even ECG, almost work your bill, almost first consumption, it be a first 500 megawatts. Oh, I hear Uchia. This is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. And these are feasible interventions. So it will encourage more people. And what it simply means is that the unemployment challenge that you face, this is the way to address it. Because when companies are working 24 hours, they employ more people. More people means more production. More production means more revenue. More revenue means more taxes.
So the assurance is that it hinges on 4 things. We have the demand, we have the financial aspect, we also have the light cities, yes. And then targeted areas. That's the.
And you see, and I'm now example. They say, "Omahine, say, me ye juma no pa, me didi. Oye juma area, ube didi, bleana. Also, abranche oye juma enumra." Obedwen you obedidi meboa say me beton adwuma no pa me beton aduane no pa oba beton awie obi zuba beton enumre. Have we not created jobs? So me nya adwuma no pa na je fa nipa 20 na say local community nipa 20 na nya adwuma no pa e na 20 nya awia e na 20 nya enumre baba shop me baba ye am no ye kɔ ne hoyi obi kwa no pa no obi zuba kwa awia meboa because more people have access to jobs and are earning revenue. Say dressmakers, me make up my the uniform I make up make me tell me from me home so because 60 new people have jobs, what it means is that our local community tailors are one of no nipa be 40 eba be pamont ade biom esi one kwedmana wa ton so it affects every facet of the economy.
Okay, so Pablo, you move on. I'm sure your social contract will expand some of these things. That's the 24-hour reason for asking was that it's coming across. It is now your lead.
Yeah, it is our lead.
In terms
and
of,
I'm going to say 18 years without not fixing the problem of the economy. And one of the key ways of fixing the economy is the 24-hour economy. About was there by cutting down expenditure, any waste. You reduce government to just 60 ministers, because it's exactly. It's all reduce it to just 60 ministers. It will be we are not happy because they are 60, they are that selection account.
But 60,
But 60, that tells you the kind of person President Mahama is. He thinks about Ghana first. He's also promised of the council next Gracia and many other things he intends to do. So we will reduce the cost on government. So over 5,000 and 2,000 presidential.
We are waiting to see the manifesto. That will help us to scrutinize.
July.
You have an honest responsibility because you've been in government before. But that's the point. You need to convince.
We will convince people. The manifesto will resonate with the ordinary Ghanaian. It will answer questions, sir.
Will it solve the better Ghana I'm looking for?
Is it we are going to reset Ghana and build the Ghana you want? You be resetting Ghana, no? Now you are building Ghana now, no, and is it building a country is collective? It's not by a tyrant sitting somewhere and deciding, say, wait a minute. That is about the equation of saying China near Wabemono. Sebi, we are facing economic crisis. Crude prices, necofem, cocoa falling, petrol falling. Our currency was struggling. President Mabanka said, "Ononkwan enim nyasa." See Ghana this year, we even extended invitation to people in the NPP.
So that's the NDC, new NDC. You've given the opportunity, and we are here Ghana for CD, employment, roads, health sector, education, well-being of the Ghanaians.
Say about roads, about health, about education. President Mama is second to none. Infrastructure, or see our health, or see our education, and our roads of building. Nobody can compare to him.
Roads?
Of course, yes. About all the major roads that Kufuor is taking credit for. Or by Roads and your best stop here. And one so on more. There is nothing new. They've not signed any major new road contracts.
Roads?
Of course, yes. Easy corridor road or by na contractors in no best stop here. Tetekwashi,
as of the time Anam was existing, now idea of roads are not multi.
Baby, I didn't come for that debate. I would have brought you. But next time, invite me. I'm going to say information in there, bro. But let me give you 4 major roads here, President Mama Legacy. Ofanko, Pokuasi interchange. I go for the buy an escada who be biada na jo Mama Jira.
But I say what you are buying to us we here.
And I make sure say me
buying to us a key. The MPP also tell you that the MPP also tell you that omo anyamo drawings they go omo ye hu sisi you.
So whatever they say.
But you agree to that anyamo drawings no.
Well, no say.
But you have them.
Obechebi.
Yeah.
John Dramani Mahama. Gifford Road, Major Mahama Road.
You can't take it away from John Mahama.
Exactly. Gifford Road, Major Mahama, and then motorway extension. Motorway extension, could be an overhead. They were all John Mahama. I say 4 major roads. Every been showing me 4 major roads on my own. All other roads, Eastern Corridor, on by 12, so on by not contractors or so, and on by stop here. And what did they tell us? Investigations. We audits now. All these roads are John Mahama's roads. All these roads are John Mahama's roads.
Maybe you don't come
so
here.
When you talk about hospitals,
you don't come here for a roads. It's a roads conversation.
When you talk about hospitals and what John Mahama has achieved in healthcare, unprecedented.
Thank you.
Education.
Is it the NDC or
about John Mahama? Or
sometimes one give most single and away John, and away the NDC. Sometimes
I don't say John Mahama is the leader of the NDC. He's an embodiment of the NDC. So when I mention
all achievements under the NDC,
to the NDC. Exactly. Yes, I'm Mahama no.
Okay.
Yeah, come boom. We don't know the
party.
We don't know.
Memfa winning because he's not winning. We only win. I think you know that we win. I think you know. I think we don't know winning. We
can't win before you know that. All my distinguishing between running a driver's mates and a driver and everything good in the NPP. Mahmoud Bawumia takes credit. The Juma Potsina, the same is also on the economy. Meanwhile, when the economy was doing 8% and the Mahama's economy Bawumia could take credits. Oh, we have a solid economic management team. That was in 2017, 2018. Now Mahama policies, no, and I never ran.
Okay, maybe you for the next 7 minutes there, but Statsky, you also me Musa ask a question with.
Yeah,
Senior, for all these minutes, we've been listening to Pablo rant about the challenges the country is facing. What alternative does his party have for the country? Other than we will cancel this, we will stop this.
But I've not said I'll cancel anything.
Reducing cost on government alone will not solve the unemployment challenges.
Make a 24-hour economy the best of
you need to be accommodating.
Oh, very, very accommodating. I'm very accommodating.
You need to be very accommodating. Please advise Pablo that I think But why you school say now in that Jaisa? Now you are entering into a PhD with that Jaisa.
And no say
PhD. How far go?
But Pablo the any basis o. Or see any ya or in the aquanic canning to, but the state is being reduced to that level where we can compare a PhD holder to a Dutch passport. That's another matter altogether. Yeah, Pablo, please advise Pablo that if we want to keep his position, he should dare attempt to explain the 24-hour economy first. GM says he will give us small chicken to rear. And
will be an interviewer.
Pablo, Beja Kraji, Staskiasimo kind. I'm also in the yard.
Let's do 24-hour economy. My explaining. Let's do a 3-shift economy. Simple. It will extend the 4 shifts because of 3 days. There will no more benefits are gap. And then the things that comes with it, and how, and I use the hospital scenario to explain how jobs will be created and then about affect every sector of the economy. And then I spoke about how the light cities will come in and support it, and why electricity is key.
Okay, so it's important now. If we get to the Dr. Bano and then by Atik, there's going to be an establishment of an authority, purposely to ensure the deductions now here for street lights. No, what is here? An authority where those deductions will have impact. Of course, because it's the Orchard. No. The Orchard is those deductions. Because can you
demand accountability?
Well,
anyway, but that's
so lawyer Mesro, I think that you should really come for a proper 2-hour conversation. This one passing.
That is what I thought.
No. Oh, with all respect, I'm telling you, that was a crash. When you rush conversation, if I have a lot of questions, and I know, say you
we are inaugurating our youth campaign team.
Very well.
And then on the 12th of August, they will launch what we call the Youth Manifesto.
Oh,
so from an
a subset of
things that affects young people.
Okay.
So when we do that, it'll be on the 13th.
But we should expect that in the bigger manifesto, what you are going to do.
Yes, everything is in. And now in Myanmar affecting young and how we intend to solve the unemployment challenge. So on the 12th, you're launching Youth Manifesto, you'll be at 13th. You
have to. The mass exodus. So you have
no problem. Now your pipe and winner, and then we tell the Ghanaian youth why the NDC.
Okay. Let's meet on the 7th of July. You know,
oh yes,
our former president, your flag bearer,
the engagement with the media. Your Mumbra meeting in Sempa.
Yemra meeting
in Sempa.
Oh, what's Sempa?
Who meeting in Sempa? Yes, because you're resetting Ghana. You're resetting Ghana. You're Ghana fan into my paper.
So that's a resetting and then
building the Ghana.
Yes,
you and
resetting. And then building the Ghana
you and I want.
Okay, all right. Ghana meeting. We can do better. As a teacher, there is more room for improvement. There is more room for improvement as a teacher. There's more room for improvement. And let me see. Teacher Nibia and Kancho. There's more room for improvement. There's more room for improvement.
You have not answered my question, and
it means that there's more room for improvement. We can do better.
And now,
okay, so Dr. Frank.